Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Matthew. I lead the industry technology efforts within Microsoft's Global Partner Solutions org.
And hey everyone, I'm Devanshi. I am also a partner solutions architect in our GPS organization, focusing on Azure and AI and ML technologies.
Today, we want to cover a frequently requested topic on how to leverage Azure OpenAI Service for enterprise-grade applications that are hosted outside Azure. If your enterprise data and the application sits, let's say, within AWS or GCP, or even on premises, the key question is how can one leverage Azure OpenAI Service? It's also necessary to address key aspects like security and governance. With that, here are the topics we want to address. A quick intro into Azure OpenAI Service. Devanshi will then cover crawl, walk, run approach, and also the data connectors that are available for multi-cloud scenarios. I will then cover the topic of security and governance and how to get started. Azure OpenAI Service enables developers and organizations to access and use the most advanced AI models in the world, including large language models like GPT-3.5, GPT-4, and the generative image models like DALL-E. With Azure OpenAI, customers get the security capabilities of Microsoft Azure while running the same models as OpenAI. Azure OpenAI offers private networking, regional availability, and responsible AI content filtering. Use cases typically include content generation, summarization, code generation, information discovery, and knowledge mining. If you have tried ChatGPT on the web and found it amazing, imagine what it would be like to embed Azure OpenAI within your own application and be able to customize it for your enterprise data. The models typically include GPT-3.5 Turbo, which is optimized for chat, GPT-3.5 Turbo Instruct, which will follow instructions without requiring additional prompting techniques. GPT-4, more advanced with a greater accuracy than any of the previous models. And finally, DALL-E model, which currently is in preview, generates images from text prompts that the user provides. I want to give a high-level view of the stack. Azure OpenAI serves as an integral element of the broader Azure AI services. Underlying all this is Azure Machine Learning, which is an end-to-end platform for building, training, and deploying machine learning models. Azure AI Services provides out-of-the-box, pre-built, and customizable APIs and models. Sitting on top are typically applications that leverage the underlying AI services. So with that, let me turn the floor to Devanshi, who's going to walk us through the crawl, walk, run approach.
Thanks so much, Thomas. So how do you get started? I'm going to walk through three main stages in this video: crawl, walk, and run, as Thomas mentioned. So let's say that the data that you have is stored in another cloud, whether that be AWS or GCP. In this crawl stage, you are just leveraging the Azure OpenAI service, which means that you're making the API call and using the API endpoint and the key. On the other cloud, then, you have to take care of having a search store, a vector store, and taking care of all the logging, orchestration, caching, and validation steps. Additionally, you also have to consider all things security and privacy. So this would include API management, throttling, and access control. Now, when you're just starting out, to initially leverage the Azure OpenAI service and its capabilities, a neat tool to test out would be the Add Your Data feature. This allows you to upload your own data and query through it. In the next stage, you have Walk. This is a more integrated experience. You're leveraging not only the Azure OpenAI service, but you're also leveraging components like vector search and Azure Cognitive Search. There is a neat data connector that allows you to do so you can connect your data from another cloud to Azure Cognitive Search. And there are plenty of connectors out there, but some that I'll list are connectors to Amazon S3 buckets, RDS, and Aurora, and more. You can also leverage tools like prompt flow to orchestrate the chunking, the embedding, and the indexing of your application. And in addition, you also have other AI services, like Thomas was mentioning in the previous slides, that go hand in hand with the Azure OpenAI service. This includes document intelligence, where you can extract key value pairs from your forms, translator, where you can translate from one language to another, and some of our vision services. In terms of security and privacy, all of these services would be protected. For instance, cognitive search has RBAC, role-based access control, for document-level security. And you have the content filtering service, which allows you to evaluate both the prompt and the completion data in real time to check for harmful content types. And now finally, you have run. And this is where you're moving the orchestration as well as some of the other elements to the Azure side as well, while keeping your data on the other cloud. So you can have Azure API management, which helps you address hurdles like monitoring and throttling, as well as have secure exposure of your Azure OpenAI endpoints. Along with using other Azure AI services that I mentioned before, like document intelligence, vision, speech, and translator, you also have other analytics services, like Fabric being the most popular, to help you in your data enrichment and pipeline. So here's a recap of the 3 stages we talked about: crawl, walk, and run, when leveraging the Azure OpenAI service for enterprise data in various clouds. To summarize, crawl is a very easy first step to start using the Azure OpenAI service with your data. Walk is a medium lift, and run is a heavier lift, but allows you to incorporate other Azure services to enhance your application and incorporate that enterprise-grade security. Now I'll pass it to Thomas to talk about Azure security in further detail.
Thanks, Devanshi. I want to give a high-level architectural example. As you can see in this diagram, Azure OpenAI Service is actually instantiated into the virtual network. And some of the services that Devanshi mentioned is actually highlighted in here. Additional services include Key Vault, which stores secrets, passwords, certificates in it as well. And then we also have enterprise logging of Azure OpenAI metrics. It tracks token usage, model usage, prompt inputs, user statistics, and prompt response. And the services that Devanshi mentioned, like Application Gateway, API Management Services, and Active Directory, are an integral part of any typical application. So with that, I want to quickly transition into additional elements. One is Azure runs on trust. Your data is your data. The data belongs to our customers and is always under their control. And the data is used to generate via Azure OpenAI services. It's actually stored and encrypted at rest and in transit. And so there's full control over the flow of the data. And then your data is not used to train any of the foundational, the base models, and it's only used to fine-tune customers' own models. And all your data and AI models are protected by the most comprehensive enterprise compliance and security controls in the industry. So this kind of gives you the confidence to build great AI solutions on Azure and on Microsoft Cloud. The second aspects that I'd also like to quickly highlight is that Azure OpenAI and OpenAI services are separate services, and there is no sharing between them. Your fine-tuned model is your model. And then finally, to empower enterprise customers, Microsoft by default provides abuse and content filtering services, and the customers can also opt out of that service as well. With all that, how do I get started? How can one get started? Request access to the Azure OpenAI service with the link that is provided here. If you would like to learn more about Azure OpenAI services, here's that link. There's a ton of and an ocean of information that is available. And finally, if you'd like to engage with Microsoft, please reach out to your Microsoft account contact to have an envisioning session, and we can actually deep dive into your very specific use case. With that, we want to say a big thank you. Hopefully this was useful. Thank you so much for attending this session.
Thanks so much, everyone.